What's up, you guys? Welcome back to the Manga Sutra Manga review series. And in today's video, we're going to be talking about a romance and seinen manga called Shinu Hodo Kimi no Shojo ga Hoshii, or I Would Die to Have Your First Time. Now, we're going to be doing things a little bit differently. We're not going to be talking about the first few chapters of the manga and summarizing it and then giving our thoughts. We're going to be giving our thoughts on the manga as a whole. And I'm going to try to do this in a way that is very satisfying. So imagine the romanticized idea of love, having a childhood best friend, someone you grew up with, someone you've known from high school, then marrying them and having this happy ever after love, knowing that this person is the person that you've loved your entire life and that you wanted to be with your entire life. However, the reality is often different. The reality is we often grow apart. We often move to new areas. We often get ourselves into different situations or find ourselves in different environments. And being in those different environments, we experience those environments. We have fun in those environments. And we find out that our desires, our interests, our needs, our love is towards different things and different people. So we get at the start of this manga the idea that the love that you see in the movies, the love that you hear about in, books, is just fantasy. Not often do you get to marry the person that you've known since childhood. Not many times do you get to marry your high school love. And that oftentimes love is a lot more complicated and less straightforward and less linear than people think. So this is where we have our main character, 31-year-old Nishimori Toru, and Hasagawa Mika. Now we see Nishimori Toru is this middle-aged, very unattractive man, right? But somehow he's hit the jackpot in marrying his wife Mika. And Mika is a bombshell 10. But we see from their relationship that Mika loves Toru. She genuinely loves him. And Toru, as we can see throughout the manga, or at least as we see at the beginning of the manga, explains that he has been a virgin up until his marriage to Mika, and that she's the only woman that he's been with. And that according to Mika's friend, she's had no shortage of men. She's had no shortage of experience with guys. And this often bothers Toru, as we can see in their marriage, as we can see in their intimate moments. Toru often worries that he can't satisfy her, or that he isn't satisfying her as much as he should. And we see Mika being the amazing wife that she is. She is reassuring him, you are the person I would be with in every single lifetime, in every single alternate reality, in every single scenario. I would choose to be with you no matter what. And we see also Mika tells Toru that in their 1 year of marriage, she's made him more happy than any other time in her life. And that is something significant when you have someone telling you that. When someone you love is telling you, I am genuinely more happy with you than anyone else in my entire life, or this is the happiest I've been in my entire life. That is just phenomenal, right? But that's still not enough for Toru. And you can argue that Toru is very insecure. You can argue that Toru is really overthinking. And he is complicating something that should be simple. He's married to a super attractive woman. And Toru even admits himself that he is overthinking this a little bit. That he has hit the jackpot marrying Mika, right? That Mika is all about him, that Mika does truly love him. But what irks Toru, and I feel like I can relate to this, what irks Toru is that Mika has so much experience and so much history with the opposite sex compared to his absolute lack of history with the opposite sex. But it's not just that. What it leads into is what I can relate to. it's the idea to Toru that there are other people out there that know his wife, that know sides of his wife that he will never know, that he will never get to experience. The Mika that he married is a woman that has went through the trials and tribulations of life. She is somebody that has been through lots of bad relationships. She is somebody that has been through very insecure moments. She has been somebody that has been through very traumatic moments. She is somebody that has went through and grown on her own. And those experiences have shaped her to be this cool, calm, collected Mika that we see now, that has married Toru. And Toru has that issue because he hasn't seen the Mika before that, right? He's seeing the end product. He hasn't seen the Mika that is nervous. He hasn't seen the Mika that's insecure. He hasn't seen the Mika that, you know, has a crush on someone. He hasn't seen the Mika that was growing up. He hasn't seen her throughout the process, right? So he's only seeing the butterfly, but he's not seeing the caterpillar or the cocoon. And he wishes he could see the caterpillar and the cocoon. And he knows that there are people out there that have seen every single stage of Mika up until the butterfly, right? And so we get the title of the manga, you know, I Would Die to Have Your First Time. Not because it's solely for like some sexual perverted lust, although there is that element there, you can argue, definitely. But it's more so of the fact that he wants to know her from back then. He wants to be with her. He wants to be her first time because he wants to experience that Mika. He wants to experience a Mika before she was this final end product that she is when she married him. And I guess I can relate to that. And with this manga, we get elements of time travel. We get Toru basically every time he dies, every time he is about to unceremoniously either kill himself or just accidentally dies, whether it is through his own actions or someone else's actions, he time travels 14 years into the past, back into high school. And we see that he actually did meet Mika 14 years ago, right? He actually did meet her 14 years ago, but because he was being bullied at the time, he didn't really stop and actually look up and talk to her. But when he first goes back into the past, when he steps on somebody's shoe and then accidentally trips and then falls into the path of a moving train at a train station, we see him get teleported back 14 years into the past to when he first met Mika, which was in an alleyway. And we see that Mika is with her female best friend, and her female best friend is pressuring her to go out on a double date with this guy that she doesn't feel comfortable going out with. And we see Toru seeing Mika for the first time. He's kind of flustered because like this is his first time seeing her as she is then. But Toru also steps in. He steps in because the guy that is supposed to be going on a double date with Mika is whispering to Toru, yeah, you know, she doesn't want to do it, but yeah, I'm gonna have sex with her afterwards. And Toru steps in. Toru like really just puts his balls on the table and he's like, no, dude, piss off. Can't you see she doesn't want that? Can't you see she doesn't want to be with you? And you know, the guy starts mocking Toru, saying, you're unattractive. Don't you see Mika's super attractive? There's no way a girl like her would be with a guy like you. You two are like just two complete opposites. You should go home, is what Mika says. And the guy's like, yeah, don't you see? She wants you to go home. But Mika wasn't talking to the guy that she was supposed to go on a double date with. I mean, she wasn't talking to Toru. She was talking to the guy that she was supposed to go on a double date with. And she's telling Toru to go. So they walk. He's walking her home. Mika has a feeling like she's known him. She has a feeling that she knows him from somewhere, right? And Toru, when he's walking with Mika, he's realizing just how different she is to her calm and composed self that he knows that he marries, right? And Toru, as we see throughout the manga, he has this idealized concept of fate. He believes that him and Mika are meant to be together. And the thing about it, though, that's kind of sad is that he believes so strongly in it that he feels that him and Mika are supposed to end up together right then, right there, you know? But he's about to confess his feelings to her, but this is when she says, but I love someone else. You know, she's telling him, why was I so stupid that I almost went with this guy that I didn't like, and I know that he was going to try something when I truly love someone else. And, you know, this kind of hits hard for me because I remember, you know, the situation. I was talking to a significant other and we were talking about their past, and a lot of the things that they did in the past, it was because they felt like they weren't genuinely loved and that they were seeking love and attention in all the wrong places. And I can relate. I can relate to like hearing that. I can relate to hearing the person that I like saying that. But, you know, this also just shatters Toru's idea of fate, like this little red string that he believes binds them together. And, you know, we can get some imagery in the manga every time something happens to chip at his belief of fate. We see the string becoming a little bit more frayed. But the thing is, as we see the manga progress, we see that Toru understands and realizes that Mika has to go through some of these experiences for her to be the woman that she is, the woman that he marries. And we see that there are times where he actually time travels back to the present. And the actions that he has changed in the past, parts of Mika's history that he has affected or influenced, drastically shapes the person that she actually becomes, or drastically shapes the person that he marries. We see in some instances that the Mika that he marries is not the confident, calm, composed woman that we see at the beginning of the manga, that she is insecure, she is traumatized, she is a broken woman. And then we see as well, there's other parts or there's other outcomes to him interfering with Mika's past that actually lead to him not marrying Mika at all and leading to him marrying her friend. And we see Toru like at many times as like this white knight, but we also see Toru just realizing that he doesn't have to win her back. He doesn't have to immediately get her. He doesn't have to immediately date her or be with her. And as he begins to see these alternate realities, these alternate outcomes of interfering with the past and, you know, altering her history and his history with her, we see that Toru begins to appreciate the woman that he did marry at the start of the manga. We see that Toru would give anything just to have that Mika, right? That she was perfect just the way she is. And we see throughout a certain part of the manga that he's actually just trying to get that Mika back. He's trying to get back to a point where he is just married to her, you know? And it just that's time travel in a nutshell. The more you try to change things, the worse things get, you know? First he tries to, you know, be her first, and then he ends up making her like this broken woman in the future, and then the next time he tries to change things, he ends up marrying her best friend, and it just gets worse and worse and worse and worse and worse. Like, so then there's like an interesting plot twist. I'm not gonna spoil it, but you know, there's interesting plot twists throughout the manga that really kind of catch you off guard. And I just think it's a really good manga. I think it's a really good manga. There are like ecchi moments or like very sexual moments, and like there's always this thought in his head like, I want to be her first time and all of this other stuff. But when you get past the fact that he's like this 31-year-old virgin that's basically time traveled back into a 17-year-old body, and this is a woman that is already his wife in the future, you know, you kind of see elements of Toru being a decent person. realizing that, you know, it's more important to be a good friend and a good man and to stand on his values and stand on his morals for Mika than to just try to have sex with her, you know? And we see that Toru is willing to do whatever it takes to make sure that Mika's happy, that Mika has the best future, that she has the best life. And yeah, I just think that this manga is really good. I would recommend reading it. The art style, they do definitely make it very convincing that Toru is ugly. But then as the manga progresses, you really see that Toru isn't all that ugly, to be honest. Like Toru's actually, like, I'd say he's fairly average. Mika, she's pretty amazing. The artwork for some of Mika's panels really captures that low key um low key beauty that she has, you know? It's just like the way she turns her hair, or like there's like these little moments between Toru and Mika that are so romantic. Like when they're in bed together, the way she looks at him, the way she tells him that, you know, he matters to her, or that he makes her happy, or that she would choose him. And then we see sometimes that when they're talking to each other, when they're in the past, there is some chemistry there. There is the possibility of these two dating. There is the possibility of these two actually being in a relationship. And I think the ultimate lesson that this manga teaches somebody is that love isn't linear. It's not always what you see romanticized in the movies. It's not easy. And sometimes we do get people with past. We do get people with a lot of different experiences. And sometimes we often do come from two different opposing ends of the spectrum. And if there's anything I've learned from this as well, is like time travel is a no-go. If I could time travel back in the past and affect my significant other's history and, like, you know, get to know them before the experiences and stuff like that, I would definitely do it. You know, I mean, I would consider it. It would be a heavy thought, because it's just like, okay, for first part, do I believe me and my significant other would have a strong relationship back then? Yeah, you know, I think me and, you know, my significant other would, you know, me and whoever I'm dating or whoever I'm in a relationship with, I believe if we are like, for me to date somebody, we would have to have some type of similar interest. So we would have had to have vibed at some point back in high school. Like, so I believe, like, in high school, I would have probably dated them anyways. But it also begs the question, like, these experiences that this person has been through has shaped them. It has shaped their personality. It has shaped their character. It has shaped their values. So if you meet them earlier on in life and you change the experiences that they've been through, you change the situations they had to go through, you change the choices that they had to make. And this ties into like a video from Abba and Preach that they uploaded recently. And they was talking about how choices in adversity solidify your character, solidify your values, the types of choices that you make, the types of consequences you deal with from your choices that shape who you are. So getting to know somebody that I know that I would eventually date and be in a relationship with in the future earlier is kind of scary, because it's kind of like rolling a dice. Do they end up being more compatible for me down the line? And do we still end up together? Or do we still maintain that relationship over years? Or do I just end up messing it all up and I get like a worse version of that person? Or do I negatively affect my relationship with that person and negatively affect them, or just completely not end up with them at all, you know? So time travel is a very scary thing, but you have to appreciate the person that you have in front of you now. You have to appreciate the person that you have now. And that sometimes it's not their past that is important. It's the present moments that you share with them. And but yeah, I can certainly relate to Toru. I can certainly relate to the idea of being just anxious or uncomfortable or insecure with the fact that you don't know your significant other fully. that you haven't seen those sides of them, that you haven't been in their past and you haven't been with them, or you know, been a part of, or even seen some of these experiences compared to their friends. uh I keep saying on a like on an ending tangent, but like another thing we see here is that, you know, there's a lot of different factors that shape Mika and shape her experiences, and we see that her friend has a negative impact in some of them. Her friend pressures her to go into a double date. Her friend is often trying to play matchmaker for her with other guys that are just not really compatible for her. And we see like this whole like little low key conflict between her friend and Toru. Sometimes your friends are trying to do well by you, but they're pressuring you and they're putting you in situations that aren't really for you. They're having you try to step outside of your comfort zone. So it really comes down to, at the end of the day, what are you feeling? What are you really about? You know? Do you really want to do this because you want to do it? Or are you doing this because your friends are convincing you that this is something that you should do? Right? So, um, I feel like this is a good manga. The art style is really cute when it comes to like the romantic elements of it. As far as like the more sensual, sexual parts, man, it's you'll get pretty much the same quality as any other ecchi. But I'm here more so for the plot. I'm here more so for like the romance between Toru and Mika, and just seeing how many alternate outcomes Toru actually gets and how many different versions of Mika that he actually receives. So I recommend reading it. You guys should subscribe for more. Comment what you think about the manga. Bye.